Call the meeting to order. If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
It's good to see folks here in the Township Building. Welcome. I haven't seen you in a while. I forget your name. You're a real estate agent, correct? Oh, okay. Yeah, you used to come to our sewer meetings all the time. All right. Welcome. All right. First order of business, opening comments. Commissioner Evans, we have some incredible news you can share.
Thank you, sir. Yes, it's earth shattering. Welcome. Glad you could join us this evening. Our meetings are neutral ground, a place to hear and be heard. Just a reminder, your questions or statements regarding agenda items only will be entertained under citizens to be heard. All other matters will be recognized at the end of the meeting during public comment. Did you know that in Chester County, 75% of people who abuse prescription pain relievers get them from relatives or friends? Did you know that 20% of our high school students have abused prescription drugs? That's 1 out of 5. And nearly 20% of prescription opioid pain medication users will move on to street drugs like heroin and fentanyl. Or did you know that the EPA has found prescription drugs in our water supply from people flushing them down the toilet? The message is clear. Don't hold on to prescription drugs you don't need, want, or that have expired. We have a prescription drug drop-off bin located in the police department where you can safely, easily, and anonymously get rid of unwanted or expired medications before they fall into the wrong hands. We all know some residents are still unhappy about the new fire and EMS tax, and we understand. Every penny counts for all of us. But did you know that of the more than 5 townships served by Minquist EMS, 42% of their calls last month were to Cowan Township. 42%. They had 151 emergency responses to Cowan Township alone. It's about saving lives, not about making money. Did you know that Cowan Township police are hiring? We all know Cowan Township already has the best police force around, and now Chief Elias is looking to add to that great team by hiring for 1 full-time officer position. Excellent candidates are encouraged to apply for this amazing opportunity to serve our community. Applications will be accepted through midnight, March 28th, and application packets can either be picked up in person at the Cowan Police Department or online through our Cowan website. Our website has all the deets, requirements, pay scale, etc., etc. And speaking of details, when it comes to zoning, it's all in the details. And our next zoning update workshop of 2024 will be a week from today, Thursday the 22nd at 6:30. The ball is rolling with a great group, and this should be a fun and meaningful exercise as we plan for the future of Cowan. And task force meetings will continue to be held on the 3rd Thursday of each month at 6:30, open to the public and in person right here or by Zoom. Last meeting, I mentioned that on the north end of the old Cowan Meeting House property, there's a cemetery in great disrepair. And in that cemetery are the bodies of African American soldiers who fought in the Civil War. This week, we have updates. Mickey McAllister of Old Cowan Historical Society has been working on digging up all of the missing information. That is terrible. Coming up with all of the missing information on all the graves. And last week, I met with a few Quakers from the Old Friends Meeting House who suggested they have the burial records in a basement and will happily share them with OCHS and Callan Historical Commission. This discovery opens a new world of possibilities for Spackman Davis Farm and the Friends Meeting House to become a county heritage site, and that would open the door to more funding. Watch this space. And lastly, speaking of Spackman Davis Farm, that farmhouse roof is not long for this earth. Remember, when we all work together, there's nothing we can't do. So spread kindness, everyone. Anger, grudges, and resentments are not worth our time or energy. Compassion, empathy, peace, and love, these are what make the world go round.
Thank you, Commissioner Evans. Next on the agenda, citizens by request. Do we have any citizens to be heard for any agenda items? Do not see any hands raised here in the Township Building. How about in Zoom? And at this time, moving right along, Township Manager. Don, what do we have? On door number 1.
Right. Good evening. Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity. Have a couple of items for discussion this evening. I'd like to start out with some good news. Some time ago, the township received word that it was eligible for a $75,000 grant, and I do know the chief submitted funding requests for police vehicles through that program. This is through DCD, the Department of Community and Economic Development, through some of the federal ARPA funding that went through the state. The challenge, unfortunately, was that the federal government switched from a DUNS number to a UEI number. A lot of acronyms, but essentially the UEI number wasn't being recognized in the system for Callan Township, and DCD required that number be updated, recognized in order to receive the funding. It was a challenge navigating the federal system, and included in your packet, because they continued, it was in the system as Callan Township, Callan Incorporated, which obviously we don't have any documentation under that name. I finally, because they needed our articles of incorporation, which were a challenge to find, so in order to get around that to show when Callan Township was formed, I sent them a coin and the bar coaster.
Oh, wow.
Dating
that's what this is.
1868. Apparently that was enough to get it triggered from whatever AI system was kicking us out in front of an actual human, presumably, and we were able to get it past the finish line. As soon as we were recognized, DCD reached out, Lisa was able to sign the paperwork, and we're good to go.
Yay.
Look at that.
I have never sent a bar coaster to the federal government before.
It worked.
But the challenge with that grant, of course, is because it was slightly delayed and because of the technical process, the grant contract start date was March 1st. The deadline to use the funds is end of this year. So for police vehicles, and we have to submit payments that were purchased after the start date of the signed contract, executed contract. So in the fall, for the 2025 vehicle purchase, we'll be able to apply the $75,000 grant toward next year's vehicles.
That's great.
This will come before the board for consideration in several months.
Wonderful. Battle box thinking right there, huh?
I was grasping.
Excellent. So, commissioners, any comments,
No,
questions on this?
No,
no, it worked.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sound- Any questions from residents? Just pretty excited about it. Free money.
Oh, yeah.
Any comments in Zoom? All right. Next on your agenda.
Thank you very much. The next item for discussion, this was a request raised regarding the Lincoln Highway Commission and the zoning ordinance update task force. There was a request to explore the cost to obtain drone footage, aerial footage of the business corridor along Lincoln Highway. We reached out through Gilmore, our engineer, to see who they used for such services, and they provided some names of companies they've used in the past that were reputable and they trusted. Reached out to those companies, two of which responded and provided quotes. One was was just for drone footage. Now, this drone footage could start at one end of Lincoln Highway around Wedgwood area and just go center line down Lincoln Highway and capture, with the camera facing down, capture video footage of about 25, 50 feet from, off the roadway for the length of the corridor. Cost of that was $500 for just that one pass drone footage. Received the second quote from Southeastern Pennsylvania Unmanned Aircraft Systems. It was a cost associated with 3 passes of the drone, 1 center line and 2 on the side view, so they're about 50 feet off the edge of the roadway for those properties, plus a 2D map of the corridor. Now, I'm not familiar with this technology, so I asked several questions. The 2D map, what they would do as the drone is moving down, snap hundreds of photos of the corridor, stitch those together into a single image that's high resolution, and then we'd be able to zoom in. And they said cannot count blades of grass, but you can count the stones next to them. So it would be detailed mapping that we will be able to look at. And one of the questions that was brought forward was how can we use this? We're going to spend township money on this service. How can it be applied? And I did reach out to our engineer, Gilmore, have had him review the quotes and how would they possibly be able to utilize this. He indicated that the drone footage, just a single shot, may not be as applicable to some of their functions, but the 2D map would potentially. He said listed 6 different examples of how they could incorporate the imagery into some of their functions, identifying storm drain and sanitary sewer manhole locations, preparing concept plans for potential projects, prepare bid drawings for projects where topography is not important. For example, sanitary sewer grouting projects, stormwater runoff, excavation, etc. Estimating impervious coverage, using imagery as pre-development conditions to see how things change over time, and exhibits to depict land use types. He recommended between the 2 quotes that we received, the 2 examples, the one with the 2D imagery, he would have much more ability to use. This I wanted to bring to the board's attention. Obviously, it's something that if it is valuable from an engineering standpoint for different individual projects, could be a tool that we could utilize in the township. In speaking with the companies, there also is additional technology that is evolving all the time, but they can do topography overlays. They can do geopositioning with the drone footage so that it is centimeters, possibly it's exact from any other aerial mapping, and can incorporate some of the overlays, our storm, sewer mapping that's going on currently, the sanitary sewer system maps, things of that sort can be incorporated to this type of technology. Just really wanted to bring it to the board's attention, receive some feedback and some thoughts regarding if this would be of value to move forward.
I do know that the original reason why this was brought up was during our task force, the zoning task force. Commissioner Evans had brought it up as a suggestion, and I believe it originally came from the Lincoln Highway idea.
Yes.
So from that point, if there's other uses for the $1,200 version of it, if there's other applications that we could use, it may be worth it. So I'll let these guys speak since it originated from you guys. Feel free to jump in.
I would just say that, you know, I didn't realize that it would be applicable to so many. I'm glad you read that list of items because, you know, when you're looking at it, you think just, oh, well, 500 versus 1200, you know, 500 is cheaper. But if the only thing we can use it for is the task force to kind of see what's already there, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But if we can overlay things onto it and, you know, also use it for the zoning task force and the zoning or the Lincoln Highway Committee, you know, that I think is well worth the expenditure. And especially as we move forward, Lincoln Highway gets a lot of storm water and can flood very easily. We've seen in some of these big storms, so that might be a help for us going forward to figure out where the volume of water is and what we could do about it. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, mine are not that different from what either of you said. It was just, you know, an idea to be able to see what's there. But being able to do all those other stuff, to be able to overlay maps is just incredible. Look, we know in today's day and age, people respond to imagery better than words. And we can point to a map all we want. People aren't going to get it. But to be able to put it up and show them what's going on there, and then, oh, and look here, look at the topography here, and look at this here. I'm 1000% in for SEPA UAS.
Lost her voice a little bit.
How it's being used, like you said, for more than just one particular thing. It sounds like that is a good idea to have both things done, where you can do the overlays, show the entire picture of what's happening in a particular part of Lincoln Highway, other than just for zoning. So I think it's a good idea. Thank you.
I think Jane is agreeing with that since her voice is a little limited this evening. And yeah, that was my original thought. Just having a drone footage of shooting right down Lincoln Highway, just 1D version. I did not see a benefit to that.
Yeah.
Only the fact that, okay, we know what it looks like, and in 20 years, everyone will have a good time laughing about it. But you know, you step it up, a couple $100 more, well, $1,000 more, less than that actually. You can do so much more with that, and Ross is incredible from Gilmore, and you know, he understands what else we can get out of that. The other thought I had too is, you remember the comprehensive plan that
Yeah.
we have?
Right.
You know, they actually have pictures in there,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, where the bike trail or the bike route would go,
Yep.
and they would just kind of, you know, overlay
Mhm.
onto the pictures themselves. And I believe having this other version, the $1,200 version, you would be able to take sections of the pictures and then do overlays on top of that. What would it look like with this scenario or that scenario? I'm all about options. So I think we have more options with that the $1,200 choice. So that would be my take on that. Residents, yes. Yeah, you know the routine.
Adam Thomas, Planning Commission, Allentown resident. One of the other benefits to this system is not only the GIS aspects, which Don has already addressed and could be used across several departments, including the police department, is that the place that both the engineers and municipalities get the majority of their photo imagery and GIS data is from the county. And you had mentioned impervious surfaces. That hasn't been updated since 2015 for the county. So just being able to give that to our engineers and going, hey, add the new sidewalks, add the new buildings, add these new layers, would be able to help plan for that stormwater issue, or even use it in economic community development to say, hey, these are the parcels that we have open, and this is what, you know, video that we have that could be, you know, I'm sure we have a middle school or high school student that would be able to take some of that footage and work that into, you know, even a sales pitch, you know, kind of like welcome to Callan. So I do think going with the bigger package with the extra layers and the extra data would be far worth it to the municipality and the planning commission and all the departments you guys have. So. Thank you.
Adam,
you.
thank you. Yes, Alicia, come on up.
Hi, everybody. Nisha Perini,
Hi.
103 Airwood Drive. The question I have is this evolutionary or is it a snapshot in time? Meaning that if everything changes within 2 years and 3 years from now, is it the same footage that was taken this year or does it change over time in the system?
We would have to contract with the company to come back out to do an update. So, for example, in a number of years, if we wanted to do a comparison, this would be a snapshot of the time the drone is in the air and traveling down the highway. But there doesn't stop the township. They wanted to see a change perspective to contract once again in the next several years to do that comparison. I'm not sure exactly the technology. They'd be able to highlight exactly what has changed, but we would have to do another run of the drone to get up
I
to
wasn't
data.
sure if it was some kind of computer system where it was like a satellite where you take it.
Oh, you mean like Google?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I just wasn't really sure, but it
Yeah.
still seems very valuable. And again, yeah, people, you're trying to sell a dream to people. They need to see what things are. And I see a lot of use in the zoning even as people are coming to the session. So
Mhm.
glad that everybody thinks it's great. I do too. Great job.
Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you.
Any other comments here? Township building? None at this time? Any in Zoom?
My only other comment is if we're gonna do this, we should do it really soon, because right now, the trees don't have anything on them, you know?
Well,
and
you haven't
once-
walked outside yet.
Well, they're starting, but once things start to green, we're not gonna have such a clear,
Yeah.
shot, that's all. So,
To that point, both companies that I was in touch with recognize that. They do see the value in getting out here before the leaves come on the trees. They've done these types of services in the summer, and the first request they have is, "Can you remove the leaves?" Which apparently they can do, but it's difficult work. And so they both understand that there is a clock ticking
Mhm.
to get this done as soon as possible, and they would be able to facilitate that.
Okay. Well, let's put it on the next agenda, next meeting's agenda for action item.
It's nothing we could do tonight, or is it just discussion tonight?
Yeah, it's just labeled as discussion,
And if it, yes, we can do that.
unless you know differently. I'm just trying to follow rules. Is it something that we can actually?
We can, based on the amount, I believe we could move forward, and this is really to get feedback from the board. I believe administratively we could move forward with it. I wanted to make sure. If the leaves coming on the trees is a concern, I believe we would be capable of getting them to come out, and then we can put it on the agenda for payment. On the bills list.
A consensus to move forward and then pay for the bill afterwards. I'm good with moving forward.
Second. I think we're all in agreement. Let's move forward.
Excellent.
Excellent.
John?
Thank you.
And that was for the $1,200 company. Just to confirm.
There's another one in there for 400,000.
Okay.
Side note, sorry. Just our humor.
The next item I have for discussion, and this is really to just get some guidance from the board regarding policy on payment of emergency service agreements that the township has in place. As you know, they, in addition to supporting the fire company, the Minquist EMS, the provider for Callan Township, approached municipalities that it supports, and essentially stating that the current funding formulas would now require municipal contributions in order to to remain viable. It's hardly unique to Minquist, to this area, this county, or the Commonwealth. This is a national concern that the funding model for ambulance and emergency services have been struggling, especially coming out of the pandemic. In meeting with Minquist EMS, with the other supporting municipalities over the past several weeks and months, we have developed a budget request that was discussed. I know during the last year's budget conversation, EMS support was built into that budget. Moving forward, we've had that discussions about how best to get this funding to the ambulance in order to allow them to continue doing the life-saving work that they do. In speaking with Mr. Stackhouse, who has been taking a leadership role on this, we feel it would be appropriate to model the EMS funding similar to how the township has been funding the fire company for many years, in a quarterly basis. Really bringing this to the board for any discussion topics. We are approaching obviously the end of the first quarter, and they're asking for the contribution request, asking all municipalities that are going to be providing coverage, and that would include, of course, Callan, East Callan, Downingtown, West Bradford, and East Brandywine. Those are the primary coverage areas. In the amount of funding supporting the Minquist EMS for the first quarter comes out to $79,082.14. Really just wanted to receive some feedback from the board if you agree with Mr. Stackhouse and myself that quarterly, and this was discussed, of course, at the municipal meetings, and I think there's great agreement that this type of quarterly support would be appropriate, but of course wanted to bring it to the board's attention before implementing even a soft policy to move that forward.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I'll try to get it out. Why is our quarterly so expensive?
The quarterly breakdowns were calculated from the number of service calls, essentially the amount of response time or response calls that the ambulance service provides in each given municipality. In the contribution request, breaking down the percentage of calls over the annual calendar year last year, Callan Township accounted for 46.76%. So a majority, not majority, but a large number compared to the others. So that's where that total was calculated from.
Commissioners?
I'm much more comfortable with the quarterly payment.
Yearly, yeah.
I would just say that, you know, as we move forward, just like with the fire company, the ambulance services are moving away from volunteer-based ambulances to professional career staff. And that has changed the dynamic of how we pay for this and, you know, how much they need to stay operating. Yeah, we are almost the majority of their calls. And that's why our ask is so much more than everybody else's. We did build in money in the budget to cover this cost. We in our municipal group have talked about monthly payments. I think thinking about it, paying after the fact for calls that we've already had, I think we can do that. And for monthly, I think that would put more burden on the staff to try to figure out what was our call percentage for each month and start writing checks monthly to them. So I agree that the quarterly would be a good way to move forward after the quarter has elapsed. So yeah, I guess at this point, since we would have one more meeting before the end of the quarter, either we wait until the next meeting or we wait till April to get the final numbers for January, February, March.
Again, like I said in the opening comments, February, we were 42% of their calls. So that's why we're so high. And as our manager just said, we're almost 47% of their annual calls last year. We got to pay our way. We got to make sure our people are safe.
Commissioners, any other comments?
I would also just one thing. Minquist has undertaken great steps to try to stabilize their funding through billing and insurance reimbursements and things like that. They've definitely made some changes and turned things around so that they are in a better shape than they were about a year ago. So they've done their work to try to stabilize their financial situation, and that's why we feel comfortable at this point that we can move forward with payments.
I'm in agreement with the rest of the board. Don, you had another comment?
Just, I do know there are, as I want to really stress, this is not a Minquist issue. This is a nationwide concern, challenge that many municipalities, many states are facing. And one that I know there's several bills at the state legislative level attempting to address and to fix. Individual counties have taken efforts to do studies, things of that sort, but at the end of the day, the Pennsylvania Constitution puts the burden to support care on the municipalities. And that's been a challenge for many municipalities. I know Minquist and the community should be grateful that the foresight this board had in advancing efforts before it really became a crisis point. But it is definitely a concern that's much larger than Callan Township, Chester County, or the Commonwealth.
And also, the closing of Brandywine didn't help anything either, because now instead of spending, 10, 15, 20 minutes with the patients and taking them to Brandywine, they're spending hours and hours taking them to Paoli or Chester County. And it's just exacerbated the problem. And they're on the monthly call sheet. If you look at it, you can see all the calls they're picking up for other people because they're stuck at one of those hospitals waiting to drop somebody off, and Minquist doesn't have a call. So, the problem with losing Brandywine has exacerbated the problem.
Agreed. Residents, any questions on this concern? And here in the township building, any? None? All right. It's a discussion item. How would you like to handle this?
We, to Commissioner Young's point, we can certainly review the data that comes throughout the rest of the month, and then maybe advance it at that as appropriate at the end of the quarter.
Okay. We can bring it up at the next meeting, whether or not we'll do the check at the end of the month or the beginning of April. All right. Thank you, Don. Last two items.
All right, we have two fun ones. We have two vehicles that are set for placement on Municipid, the auction site. The Public Works 2008 Ford F-550 Super Duty truck and 2015 Ford Taurus police vehicle. Both are seeking board approval to place on Municipid. We'll note the Public Works F-550 Super Duty truck did have I think the rear differential needed to be replaced. Rather than replacing that and putting it on there, we figured someone with a bit of mechanical ingenuity might see it as an opportunity to get a good deal, purchase it, and then replace that on their own. So we will not be spending the money up front to then place it on, placing it as is, and obviously disclosing the situation with the hope that an individual with the expertise, ability, and tools take that on themselves and fix it. It could impact the final, but that's the situation with that. So we're seeking two motions to place those vehicles on municipal.
Any idea of what you may receive,
It's tough.
miss?
You know, we in the past couple years, with the inventory of used vehicles and new vehicles being low, we did see some of these vehicles going for quite a bit higher than what you would expect, which was a great
Mm-hmm.
benefit. The market is starting to stabilize a little bit, so we've seen some of the vehicles that we placed on come down. It really also depends if it gets into a bidding war. If there's 2 or 3 individuals that really just love the color of that vehicle and
Mm-hmm.
you know have memories of using it, that can drive up the cost. But really, I'd be hesitant to put a price because there's so many variables that do impact that.
My guess is the truck will go for good money because trucks are just so expensive right
Right.
now. You know, like you want to buy a new F-150, you're $70,000 for a pickup truck. So to get an F-550, again, it needs work, several $1,000s worth of work, unless you can do it yourself. But the truck will probably go for more than the car will.
Police vehicle probably has like 30,000 miles on it, but like 300,000 miles on the engine.
Sort of cheap.
The Taurus has over 100,000 miles on it.
Oh, does it?
Probably got a couple 100,000 hours though on the motor. And people always ask that question too. You know, how many hours are on it? Because they know police vehicles run a lot more than
Sit
just
and run.
yeah.
All right, sounds good. Commissioners, any questions on this? None? Residents, you here in the township building? Not see any hands raised. And I know we had one flag on Zoom.
Hello, everybody.
Hey,
It's
Mark, how are
De-
you?
Mark DeYoung, 20 Beaver Run Road. How does one go and bid on that municipal bid? Because my son is a collector of old trucks that like to break down.
Hey. Hey. Is that open to the public?
It
Yeah.
can, yes, you'd have to get an account, get registered, and then anyone can bid on those vehicles. As you did, there's a set deadline for the end of the auction, and you know, but anyone is, as long as you have a registered active account, you're able to bid on those vehicles.
Is it a certain website?
The municipal website,
Mhm.
it's just the online auction that is online government auction of government supplies. It's Municibid, MUNICIBID.com.
Think that'll help you out there, Mark?
Well, can you just repeat that one more time? I'm sorry.
Of course, it's Municibid, MUNICIBID.com.
Okay.
Smoking
And
deals.
is a truck somewhere where he can look at it, or?
It's on the site, and they will be required to place a number of photos, the specs of the vehicle, mileage, all the relevant information that anyone interested in bidding on a vehicle would need to have in order to make an accurate bid. That's all included on the website.
Okay. Can't come and kick the tires, huh?
Traditionally, no. In the event that obviously would be the bidder, can come and look at the vehicle at that point. But from a fairness, we've utilized the site so that we are able to expand to a larger population of interested bidders. And from a fairness standpoint, someone's in 4 or 5 hours away, coming and looking at each individual vehicle would be difficult. So preferred would be, of course, to view the site.
Okay.
There will be pictures.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'm hoping he doesn't get it, so just that way, so, but I did tell him about it, so, thank you.
All right, thanks, Mark. No other questions? All right. Well, since they're both action items, I will entertain a motion to approve placing both vehicles on municipal.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Evans, second by Commissioner Kennedy. All in favor? Say aye.
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 Motion's good, 4-0. Commissioner Tindaro had stepped out for a second. All right, that should do it on under Township Manager.
That's all I have at the
Yeah.
moment.
Let's
Thank
keep
you.
it moving here.
Excellent.
Board minutes to approve for February 29th meeting. Any additions, corrections needed? Not entertain a motion?
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Young, second by Commissioner Evans. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion's good, 4-0. Next, we have Financial Department. Check approval for check round 51,640 to 51,720. Any questions on those checks? If not, entertain a motion. Circles that I have. Anybody? Bueller? Bueller?
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Young, second by Commissioner Evans. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Good, 4-0. Checks have been approved. Next, moving on to the board liaisons. We will start off with Park and Rec. You want me to read this? Reading for Commissioner Kennedy. Park and Rec Annual Easter Egg Hunt on Saturday, March 30th, 1 p.m., Municipal Park. The Park and Rec Board stuffed more than 2,500 eggs. And a photo. There's going to be a photo booth?
Yeah.
Is that what? Okay, photo booth with the Easter Bunny. Sounds exciting. All right, April 6th and 7th, you have Cowan Community Cleanup weekend, doing a full weekend there. Please check our website to sign up for areas interest in supporting our cleanup efforts. And this is sponsored by Midway Grill. Is it? Okay, and we'll do COG, no new business. Count Township will be hosting the March 27th meeting here in our township building. All right. It's exciting. Municipal Authority. At our February meeting, we reviewed the 2023 Chapter 94 annual report that was submitted by staff and found it acceptable and authorized staff to forward it to the DARA and PAWC treatment plants. We also signed all the contract documents for the 2024 grouting project that was submitted by Sewer Specialty Services. Also, Standard Pipe Services has completed Phase 4 repair projects, and Ross from Gilmore is currently working on finalizing the punch list items, pay request, and the project closeout. Under DARA, our future expansion, DARA said that no new Act 537 plans were received, with only Cowan Township having completed their plan to date. Sounds
About right.
broken record. We're always there. The other thing, modernization project, DARA's engineer continues preparing the preliminary design scopes for the plant's modernization project. DARA and their engineering firm are investigating all federal and state infrastructural, get that out, funding programs for the upcoming work. That's all I have for DARA. Fire Board. A quick meeting back in February. Excuse me. First, we elected a new chairperson. Of course, it's the same thing, Marlene Taylor. Congratulations, Marlene. The one item we did discuss is the audit for 2023, and the board is reaching out to our township manager and our finance director, Lisa, in order to figure out the process on that. And last but, is it David Bentley?
Yes.
David Bentley was elected as president of the fire board.
Fire company.
Fire company itself. So congratulations, David. He looked like he was excited. That's the best way to look at it. But, I know he'll do a good job. All right, next we do have historical commission.
Of course, I waited till right then to
Okay.
take a.
Back to the fire board.
We have more about David Bentley.
All right,
No.
yeah.
Thanks. The historical commission
You
met.
sure?
I'm ready.
Okay.
The historical commission met on Wednesday, February 21st with a quorum, 7 of our 10 members present. The 3 absences were due to a conflicting informational meeting on potential development in their neighborhood. We reviewed the results of our poll to prioritize recommendations for improvements at Spackman Davis Farm and voted to send them along to the Board of Commissioners and Township Manager. You should be getting them in the next couple of days. We approved budget expenditures to renew our PA share license and preservation PA membership. Approved joining Town History app at the entry level. Entry level means free. And authorized uploading 5 of our resources ASAP. 1 is up, I believe. Discussed a potential ad buy for a proposed historic picnic at Spackman Davis Farm on June 29th. And entertained a fulsome discussion on the Engage Buy Sell Audio Tours app as a useful tool for the quincentennial and beyond. Lastly, we approved the America 250 PA resolution for consideration by the Board of Commissioners. Whew. Still a couple of openings on the Historical Commission, and with a couple of big events in the planning stages for 2024, we could use a few more doers to join our forces. So beat the rush. Reach out to Denise to learn how to become a member of the most productive group in the township. We get a lot done and have a ton of fun doing it. 2023 was a game changer. 2024 should be even more so. Our March meeting will be next Wednesday, the 20th, right? At 7 p.m. You can join us right here live or from home by way of Zoom.
All right, excellent. Lincoln Highway.
So we met, myself and Mark, to talk about Lincoln Highway, and we're reaching out to some people to reform the committee. We're hoping that they'll all be able to join us at our next meeting, which is the first Wednesday of the month. So we're going to work on some of the recommendations to the board for the Lincoln Highway zoning, and try to promote Thorndale as well as our Lerda, and figure out how to do that. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Ingleside Golf Course.
Ingleside Golf Course, good evening. We have improvements and repair of the greens is our major project. We had a meeting on March 13th at the Ingleside Golf Course to discuss plans to repair and replace the fence that was to be replaced. The property line survey was recently conducted to determine appropriate maintenance for the split rail fence near the 3rd and the 4th hole. This fence was installed prior to the township purchasing the golf club and is in need of significant repair. Following the survey, it is determined that the fence was entirely within township property. The township will be working with the residents whose property abuts the township property line. Replacement fence will follow the existing fence footprint. With the warmer weather, the course is starting to come to life. Membership to Ingleside Golf Club for 2024 is still available. We have a new logo for Ingleside Golf Club. Billboard design will be coming up shortly. 1 month, we will have free advertising, and this will help to grow awareness about the club. Stop signs are needed in some areas of the golf course. The goal is to take care of equipment, our new carts, keep them clean and in service. If you would like to advertise your business in the future, contact Nicole Shannon for any amount of time that you wish to advertise on the new carts. Excuse me. We have membership right now of 80 people. We're also working with the colleges, Westchester University. Benefits of golfing is cost effective. We also have new golf wear, new selection. Stop in and see what's new. We have vests, sweatshirts, rain resistant caps, and much more. Stop by the golf course and take a look at the new look of the building. Thank you.
Thanks, Lorraine. And I know the sign just started recently. On the,
Oh, did it?
yeah, on the bypass.
Yeah, I haven't
Has
seen.
everyone
haven't
had a
been on
chance
the
to see it?
bypass. Oh, cool.
It looks sharp. It
Oh,
truly
that's
does. It makes me
great.
want to go golfing.
Yeah. Well, you
Yeah,
got
so that-
lessons, Paul.
Yeah, I need my lessons. But now that's for 30 days. And is it just on the one side? Because I see it when I'm leaving Calm, but I haven't seen it when I'm coming back.
The agreement with the billboard company was for one side 30 days,
Mhm.
and there's 6-second ads that will run for once per minute. So there's a good chance if you're heading east on the 30 bypass, right before you leave the township boundary, you'll see it on that billboard.
Yeah, it does. It looks sharp.
Oh, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. And you can read Count Township. I guess
can.
you didn't get a chance to do the bold thing, but
Oh,
you can
cool.
see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So are we
Great.
gonna have a golf cart for the commission?
I have one.
We should all like have to donate our salary.
Yeah, that's big bucks there.
Well worth it. Thank you, Lorraine.
Thank you.
All right, additional business. And at this time, public comment. Just here to enjoy the meeting again. Good to see you. No lie, we actually brought you, well, I can't remember your name, and I apologize for that, but we all remembered you coming to our meeting. And we were talking about you, all good, of course, but we're like, I wonder what happened to her. So. Well, I'm glad you're back in, getting involved again. And we still meet the fourth or last Monday of the month. Come on by. We're a fun group, remember? Tom's shaking his head no back there, but
Oh,
he's the only one that's been showing up for us.
oh.
All right, that's my plug for our sewer. All right, any other public comment? None at this time? Any in Zoom? All right, well, before I go to adjournment, I just want to wish everyone a happy St. Patty's Day this weekend.
Thank you.
All right.
Be
Great.
careful on the roads.
And is Abby going to turn our little stream green like they do in Chicago?
Yeah,
I believe that was discussed. I'm not sure if we got approval from the DEP.
No.
or a shamrock.
It could be algae. Okay. All right. Well, if there's no other comments or so, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moving second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned. Have a great night. Enjoy.